Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Swish for Real Basketball. I got my boy Boogie Bob in the building. What's up, Boogie?
Yo. Thanks for having me on.
Man, you the co-host, man, so we gotta have you on. And my boy Wild Dog, man. Thank you for jumping on, man. What's up with you, man?
Hey, as always, happy to be here. Happy to be here, baby. I see
we have a special guest for you. He's gonna talk about NIL with us, Lamont Harris, man. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Absolutely, man. Give the people a little bit of information about you, man, and then we can jump onto the podcast.
Yeah, man. So right now I run Prominent Sports Consultants. We do sports marketing for collegiate athletes. I have worked with a couple pro athletes as well. Just doing athlete marketing, I am the guy basically between the brand and the athlete, right? So when you see like LeBron James say, "Hey, everybody drink a Sprite," I'm the guy that in between them that got that connection going. Because the athletes don't need to be able to have to go get their deals. I'm the one that'll go get it for them.
Nice, man. I appreciate you jumping on. And we talk about a lot of topics on this channel, man. And again, we always, focus on basketball for the most part. And we kind of jump off a little bit on other topics, but mainly it's basketball. So what's coming up in 2025? I do want to start with you, Wild Dog. The Defensive Player of the Year, man. And I want to kind of get your thoughts on who you think will win it, why they'll win it, and what'll be the parameters of winning that specific title.
Okay. So first off, just let me, be honest and transparent, and just give testament to my prejudice. I'm just gonna call it what it is.
Oh my God.
No rookies, no sophomores. You know what I'm saying? So my hand was shaking. When I tried to write Wemby. I'm a Wemby fanboy. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wrote his name down, and I couldn't do it. So no Wemby, no Chet Holmgren. Okay, no rookies or sophomores.
Okay.
So I mean, unless Anthony Davis.
Wait. And nobody on the Mavericks because they don't play defense.
Can't get help.
Okay, so we're gonna have to cut the interview short.
It's gonna be a healthy Anthony Davis, and that's still. I don't gamble. You know what I'm saying? So that leaves that leaves my front runners right there. Rudy and Bam.
Rudy and Bam Adebayo. So here are some of the parameters for winning the Rookie of the Year award. You have to play at least 65 games in the season, and you have to play at least 20 minutes per game in the season, and you're only allowed to miss 2 games, and it has to be under 15 to 19 minutes toward the 65 minutes total.
And that helps cut out the popularity contest. So I lean more, my style of play and what I favor is more towards Bam's game and style, the way he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm a Heat fan or anything, but I respect his game and, and so forth. Yeah. But then I also can respect Rudy's classic style of playing, But I feel like Bam, well, you got Spoelstra over there, but then, then the effect of being under Spoelstra, I see Bam having more effect on his teammates, on his team, whether he's on the court or not. That's what I see.
Yeah.
So I favor Bam, but that's like my 1-2 because no rookies, no sophomores.
And so here are the top picks, and I'm going to give you the only 4 of them. They got Anthony Davis winning it, and then after Anthony Davis, Jaren Jackson Jr.,
Let's go.
Giannis Antetokounmpo and OG Anunoby. What are your thoughts on those particular players winning it in that category?
Are we talking about me? Is it my turn?
Well, I'm still on Wild Dog.
Oh, I was about to say,
hey,
Wild Dog.
Hey, no rookies, no sophomore, no flat tires. I don't gamble, bro.
No flat tires.
So we love the Greek freak in this house, but yeah, and then with the change of his teammates, You know,
Yeah.
it's not just it's like you say. You got in certain categories so they can cut out the popularity contest and kind of be fair in the voting. Because if you ain't, you know, your rep is your rep, but we're not giving them awards out for reps.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a yearly. You know what I'm saying? It's an annual thing. You know, so so when you said Jared Jackson, I'm like, hey, you got me there. You know, out of that list, I mean, if I had a vote right now, that would out of the list you gave me, it would be Jared Jackson.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna pass it over to you, Lamont. What are your thoughts, man, on the rookie of the year? Well, not the rookie of the year, the defensive player of the year for the NBA.
Oh man, I'm biased. I'm all the way 17-time champ Laker bias, right? So I'm going with Anthony Davis, who should have been the defensive player of the year. Yeah,
coulda, woulda,
consecutively for sure. Yeah. So, but first off, before we even get too deep into it, hey, R.I.P. Mutombo, man. We got to give blessings. R.I.P. Mutombo.
Yeah, sure. He's coming up. He's coming up. So we'll talk about him in a little bit. But I mean, like, why would you choose Anthony Davis over Rudy Gobert?
Man, because I just think his presence, his presence when he's on top of his game, his presence is unmatched, right? He's consistent with it as well. He's known, he's a defensive player. Like we know that, you know, Anthony Davis can ball, but he's a defensive specialist. That's his game, is defense. So I think Rudy Gobert, I think because his team was, you know, they had a better record, they had a better year last year, he might have, you know, but Anthony Davis by far had a better defense year, to me, in my opinion.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's never won the defensive player of the year award.
Never.
Yeah. So why would you think he win it?
Blasphemy.
Yeah. Why did you think he'd win it now, though?
Man, I mean, hey, because I'm not picking anybody else but my guy. I'm not.
I get it. A Lakers bias, and the audience don't know my guy Lamont. He's actually from California, so I get it. Yeah. But Anthony Davis is a great player, though. I can't knock him.
But I mean, I would go Giannis, but he's the only one playing defense on that team. Like nobody else is playing defense on that team, so he's gonna get tired. And I hope he stays healthy. Like, but last year he had flat tires at the end of the year, so and then Bam. I don't know. I just haven't seen the consistency. Like he's up and then he's down. He's up and then he's down. I'm gonna go AD, man.
AD, we'll take that. Boogie Bob, your thoughts on the defensive player of the year for 2025?
Well, I want to welcome Lamont to the show, and you can be Homer here. We tend to be Homers here. I'm not driving a Ferrari. I'm not driving a tank for this award. I'm driving a VW.
All right.
for those that don't know when I say VW, we're talking about Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. He led the league in block shots last year, over 3 a game.
Thanks.
He may be a sophomore, but he's one of the few. We're not even just talking wing players or centers, centers that are agile. But, against the Mavericks, I watched him cover from one corner 3 to the other corner 3, and he got to both players 3 steps. Yep. So when you can cover from one corner to the other corner, that even if you don't get to the shot, like he's 7'4" coming at you with some speed and some jump. So he's my top choice. I think Gobert finished second, but he's already won 4 times, and we've already seen he can't guard Luka anytime. He has to guard him in the playoffs. So how can you give somebody defensive player of the year when Luka puts him on skates? And everybody talks about Luka don't have no speed, but Rudy Gobert at 7 whatever, he can't keep up with him. There's one guy hadn't played enough that y'all haven't talked about. Kawhi Leonard, if he can play in enough games, he's a good 2-way player and could be up there but here's my dark horse candidate.
Okay.
I think D-Live, for non-Maverick fans, that's Derek Lively.
Derek Lively, yep.
Derek Lively the second, I think, will wake some people up. I know he's a sophomore, but he finished. Gafford may have started the games, but he finished the games for the Mavericks, and he had some injuries. Otherwise, he might have made the first team. So I think that D-Live will show up in the top 5. But if I'm gonna put some bread on the table there, then I'm going to drive my VW all the way to the award. And we said this last year, the league needed Wemby to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
The league needs Wemby to win a Defensive Player of the Year award sometime soon. For the 4 draft picks in this last year's draft that were from France. So they're getting a lot of notoriety, but and we'll talk about Dikembe later, but as a rookie, he averaged over 3 blocks a game. That's unheard of. Wemby's triple-double is not going to be assists. It's going to be points, rebounds, and blocks. He might get 3 or 4 triple-doubles with double-digit blocks in a game.
Yeah.
And this happened before, wasn't
It has. Yep, it has. Yep, it sure did. It happened last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I think what's his name? Andre Drummond did it before. Because he had like 10 points, 10 blocks, and like 15 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think Wemby was something similar to that, but it was I just know it was like his blocks and rebounds, it was like 10 and 12 or something like 10 and 11 or 10 and 12. It was something like that. But
think about that in a minute. Most NBA teams, even with the faster pace, more shots, they're still only about 90 shots a game. So 10 blocks in one game, that's 1/9. That's more than 10% of all shots he's blocking. That's not even accounting for all the ones that he tipped or somebody missed the shot just because he made them alter their shot. But when you're making, 10 out of 90, or even he averaged 3 out of 90. So that's one out of every 30 shots he's blocking. There's probably 2 out of every 30 shots that he's altering. Like that in itself, he's the Dennis Rodman of blocking. I'll put it that way.
No, thanks. He's an excellent player, especially for San Antonio. San Antonio picked up a great player when it comes to Big Wembanyama. So I agree with you, Bob. And I was thinking the same thing as far as the Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to win it. It's simply because of his height, for one, and then his skill level is the second thing that's going to make him win the Defensive Player of the Year. So I have no bones about that being the pick for Defensive Player of the Year. So moving right along to the next subject, and I don't know if you've been watching, and we're going to go to you, Lamont, as far as the WNBA. What are your thoughts on the WNBA, and what kind of impact has Catilan Clark been for the WNBA?
I mean, I actually love the WNBA. I'm a huge WNBA fan. I've been to a couple Wings games this year. Yeah, man. I sat courtside when they played the Sun. I mean, not the Suns, the Phoenix. The Mercury? The Phoenix Mercury. Yeah, I took my mom, and my mom saw Brittany Griner, and she was like, how big, yeah, bro. It was great. But I think the WNBA is awesome. Catilan Clark is well deserved. Salute to her, well deserved Rookie of the Year. I thought she has the game on her back, man. I think it all started in college with her and Angel Reese. I thought that rivalry was amazing, and then it made everybody start really putting their eyes on women's basketball, right? And that's long overdue. That should have been on that top tier level a long time ago. But now that rivalry took it to the next level, and it kind of reminded me of like Magic versus Bird in a way, right? I mean, you got to think about it. Like even back then, man, it was like this versus this, right? And so like this was this versus this, right? But at the same time, it was fun. It was competitive. It made everybody chime in. So I thought it was really dope. And I think it was even better that it was those two in the running for rookie of the year this year. And
Mm.
just man, Angel just couldn't stay healthy. So, but I think they both had an amazing year, and I love the WNBA.
So now you know how they make the picks as far as I think sports writers choose who's going to be the WNBA Rookie of the Year,
Yeah,
and it was a unanimous almost except for one vote.
except for one. Yeah.
And then rumor has it, uh, Angel Reese voted for herself. I'm like, how do you
Oh
do
nah,
that?
somebody else had to, man.
I
Like,
had to. I'm like, how who would put that out there?
yeah. I think
Typical
that.
vote.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna find out. It's gonna be later on when we find out who that one is. But I need to know who that one is.
Facts. So what are your thoughts on the impact Caitlin has had on the WNBA?
Man, it's been amazing, man. She's like a female Steph Curry, man. The way that she plays, she shoots the ball well. She can distribute it well. She moves very well. She stays busy. I mean, that's Steph's game, right? And so with the impact that he's had on the game and how we seen the game transition here of late, I see her coming right in, and that's why her game's being embraced so much. So yeah, man,
So
I think what she's doing is amazing.
let me ask you this question though, because I've been seeing a lot of news about her being this whole season. They were targeting her, beating her up, breaking it down,
Mhm.
and she got poked in the eye. It's like being like crazy. What are your thoughts on how they treating her as far as other players bringing her into the league? Because I haven't heard anything like that happening to Angel Reese.
No, it's not gonna happen to Angel Reese, but we kind of, I mean, I don't know, without going into too far into a color thing, just man, girl, some ladies, some players, and I can't really speak for them. The way I can see it from the outside looking in, the only way I can see it is, hey, they've been doing this for a very, very long time, and then out of nowhere, here comes this young player, this young shiny thing, this new shiny toy, and they're like, well, we've been doing this for forever. Why are they? Why is this the one that's getting the shine now? So I can see that kind of causing some
Dynamic,
friction.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's just it, man. Like they just been there, like, hey, we've been through the grind, we've been doing this, and now this one just comes in, it just takes all the shine, like, and it gets all the credit for it, right? And so I can understand that, but yeah, man, it's everything that she's doing, man. It's well deserved, I think, for sure.
Nah, facts. Well, dog, man, the Caitlin Clark impact for the WNBA, man. Give me your thoughts on that, and kind of reiterate what kind of Lamont said, man. It's just crazy how they've been treating her. But your thoughts on the whole process of her being an WNBA player?
Well, first off, it's regardless of male, female, any pro sport, you're a rookie. You're gonna get the welcome to the show treatment. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? It just is what it is. But like Lamar said, she brought her own fan base with her. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know, and then and then the dynamic of it all, it just took off. She was already off and running, and then it just took off someplace that a lot of people didn't expect. Right. So all the eyes were on her. And then
Mhm.
people that didn't even watch women's basketball was like, hey, what's going on here? Let me check this out.
There you
They're
go.
like, oh, why are these ladies acting like this? No, they're competitors.
Yeah.
They're competitors. So
Yeah.
some people had the shock of like, oh, women are competitive. Like, oh, wait, it's basketball. Yeah, basketball is a contact sport. But so some of it was the eyes. My only problem was like then the response. Like Lamont hit it on. Then when they were asked about, okay, they're going to ask about Caitlin and, some suspect fouls, right? Because there's a reason why we have fouls. There's a reason why refs have a whistle. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why, players get ejected and get fines because things get, gray areas get out of hand sometimes.
Yep.
So, but in the interviews or some of the responses is really where I drew the line for myself. And I was like, whoa.
For sure.
It's one thing to do what you need to do on the court because you're being competitive and everything, but then in the interviews, you're getting questioned about it, and you salty.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Everybody gets to eat.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? Why is your response different than if it was about someone else?
Mm.
And then, of course, I watched Angel Reese closely, too. I watched Angel Reese get clothes hanging. I was like, ooh, she all right. Welcome to the NBA, young lady. All right, let's go. You know, welcome to the show, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of, because I love the game and I watch the game, you know, I've seen it. And so, but again, it's just that immaturity of seasoned professionals that was disappointing for me. I expected better. You understand? I expected better, you know, because as a fan, I'm like, oh, this is going to blow everything up. Like for the Wings, instead of being at the College Park Center at UT Arlington, oh, we should be at the AAC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fever game was still at UTA, when even me, a regular guy, I know, oh, that game needs to be at the American Airlines Center.
Yeah.
And so I was disappointed. You're dropping the bag. There's six bags of money. You just grab two and like, I'm good. No, you're not. No. Nobody's good. I'm not good. You know what I'm saying? You know? And so, and I just feel her impact is just, we need to do better. Not that I'm saying we should have expected better, but we need to do better. You know, in our public relations from the player standpoint, and then from a business standpoint, from owners in the league, in their responsiveness, you know, their ability to adjust to change and anticipation. You know, hope for the best, hope for the best, plan for the worst. You know.
Do you think she's deserving of the Rookie of the Year?
Oh yeah, I mean there was a discussion, but then when Angel Reese got hurt, that was the end of the discussion.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was no, broken wrist, bones, all the little bones. People don't know how many bones you have in here. And when something goes out of place, you know, it's not like that harsh to build. It's meant to be flexible and all this. So when more than one gets off kilt, them jokers like Marvel just trying to, you know, all over the place and crunching nerves and pressing on vessels. And she had to, you know, for her wellness, for herself as a human being, and then even as a pro athlete, you got to take care of that. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, because Catilin's brought a lot of money to the WNBA this year. I can specifically say that because it's the numbers show. Now the players are now riding on charter flights and they're being upgraded in a lot of sports, especially when it comes to flying from here to there.
But speaking of upgrades, Big Mike, I'm demanding upgrades in arenas, brother. I mean, I'm demanding upgrades in arenas. I mean, I'm writing letters, bro. You know?
Aren't the Wings? The Wings are getting their new facility, right? It's not next year, but the year after.
Yeah, Boogie was softening me up on that with the Wings. Okay, if I need to hear something, know something. Okay, but the rest of the league is not off the hook either. You know what I'm saying? And then the second part of that is expansion. And then the thoughts, can we get the champion Houston Comets back?
Ooh.
But isn't that what they're talking about right now? Expansion?
Yeah, they are expanding, right?
So their expansion teams are already coming, but then the afterthought is like, well, maybe we can get the Comets back.
Yeah, that would be tight. That would be tight. Man, the Comets, I haven't heard that in so long.
Boogie Bob, the impact Catilan Clark has had on the WNBA. Give us your thoughts.
Well, you know I bring the stats, and I'll finish with that. But I don't know if you saw the 60 Minutes interview. Every time I post on Boogie Bob or link Swish for real up here, Swish for real. Anything Catilan Clark automatically gets 500, 600 views. So at 60 Minutes, I'm going to tap into what Wild Dog was saying. We've actually met this person and got a picture with him, you know, and some of the veterans that are still in the league, like Turismo. And Cheryl Swoop's gone viral with her comments against Catilan Clark.
Yeah, she's been hating on Catilin forever. I don't get it.
Well, you know, Cheryl Swoops in her day was one heck of a player.
Yeah, she was.
But I mean, when when you talk about walking on the sidewalk and you don't pay attention where, and you're like, ooh, I just stepped in some, you know what? Like she got off the sidewalk, walked in the grass where the dogs go do their business and stepped right in it.
Yeah, she did.
But here's some things that they pointed out in 60 Minutes. The average salary is $76,000. There's 12 teams, 12 players, so 144 players. Before this year, they had to go overseas just to make enough money to qualify. And one of the veterans, the top, so the Aja Wilson, the top, won MVP. She only makes Asia. She only makes 200,000. So the lady that you interview on 60 Minutes, she says, we don't expect to make what the men do, but she wants to see a comma. She goes, they need
a couple of commas, not just one comma.
They want to see a comma. So they're fighting for revenue share. But the Catilan Clark, and they are talking about expansion. I think it's like 20 teams. But Catilan Clark, Reese, as Wild Dog said, predicted it 6 months ago that they're going to be the Magic and Bird of the WNBA, and we're already seeing it. But Catilan Clark put this. She put eyeballs on the sport. And just to give you some numbers, they only played 40-some games. They had 2.35 million fans this year. It was a 48% increase in attendance. The average attendance across the league last year was 6,615 people.
Wow.
This year, it was 9,807. This year, there was 154 sellouts. Last year, there was only 45 sellouts.
Golly.
242% increase, over triple the number of sellouts. And that's even with them moving to some of the big arenas in LA and in Indianapolis for Catilan Clark Fever. The preseason game, the very first game that Catilan Clark played in, there were tickets. Wild Dog went, but there were some tickets that were going for $1,000 to $2,000 for one ticket.
That's crazy.
And I'll throw out, and this is actually posted, so Swish for you will be able to find it on Boogie Bob. Last year, the Lynx versus the Liberty, you could have gone to all games, all 4 games, for $131.
Damn.
One ticket to one game, average for a Catilan Clark Indiana Fever ticket was $135.
Jeez.
Facts, baby, facts.
So when Catilan Clark effect that we talk about, I mean, they can be all the mama jumbo. Before this year, basketball purists watched WNBA. Now little girls, teenagers, and other basketball fans are watching it. So your diehards were the supporters, but you got a 50% increase. But more importantly, they're like, they're printing that money off like this. Catilan Clark, boom, 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 boom.
But the only problem I have now, Bob, as far as the WNBA goes, they still going to lose $50 million in revenue as far as how they paying the players there and lodging and all that stuff. It's this predicted they're still going to lose $50 million. They're going to be $50 million in the hole
this year. Yeah. But they got the new contract. They got the new contract of like some $200 million. So they won't be in the red for very long.
Yeah, they'll be all right. That TV contract, right?
Yeah. Yep. And your Brittany Grinders won't have to go over to Russia to play to make ends meet.
Yeah.
They can stay at home.
Yep.
Now, facts, and I appreciate you talking about that, man, because I'm a Catilan Clark fan. You probably already know watching the channel. I think she deserved the Rookie of the Year award, and I think she's going to probably win MVP probably in the next 2 years. Yeah, because she's hooping, man. I don't see any other player that, as you stated, she hoops like Steph Curry. She got unlimited range, man.
That's the game. That's the game now, right? And then the Fever never been to the playoffs.
Mm.
She
Never,
comes in
ever,
that rookie
ever,
year,
ever.
bro.
All those first round picks, never.
Come
Not
on,
even.
man.
Couldn't even smell it. Couldn't even smell it.
Man. Come on.
And that's like saying, like when Shaq came as a rookie, he took Orlando to the playoffs.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's impact. Those generational impact players. She's one of those. You cannot deny that, man. I don't care what kind of hate you have in your body. You just cannot deny.
You got middle school and teenagers and high school girls that are watching now.
Bruh.
And I haven't seen anything on jersey sales, but when you get when the little girl that's 8, 9, 10 years old wants to go see Indiana Fever, she's gonna drag two parents with them.
Yeah.
You know, buy me a basketball.
Yeah, I got a little girl. That's a hooper. She wanted to go. We went. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you 1,000%. Like I totally understand it. For sure.
Facts. And speaking of generational players, man, the next player we're going to talk about, and we're going to start with you, Wild Dog. Dikembe Mutombo. No, people say he sound like Cookie Monster, and I kind of no. Well, he has a legacy, but he's been playing on a couple of teams, though. Give us your thoughts on Dikembe Mutombo's legacy, and what was his impact on the NBA, man. Just, it's sad that we lost him, and I appreciate his contributions to the NBA. But give us your thoughts on Dikembe Mutombo.
Again, just a reminder for folks that I was an entertainer with the Mavericks for 13 years. So I got to meet. I'm going to start you off with a story, if you don't mind, Big Mike.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got to meet Mutombo in 2005 at the NBA All-Star Weekend in Denver. The Mavs Maniacs were All-Star entertainers, So we got to meet a lot of celebrities. Even Shaq shut everything down and came downstairs to see us in person, right? But one of my highlights of that weekend was Mutombo walking through the concourse, and everybody's looking up like this. He's 7'3", you know what I'm saying? And then his voice, "How are you doing?" Like it echoed, like if he whispered, the ground would still shake. Okay.
Yeah.
And then as an entertainer, you're just like, "Oh man, this and that," and then you letting folks know, "Yeah, come meet Mutombo," or who is he? And you're talking to folks, and then he was so down to earth. He was like, "Who are you guys? Who are you big guys? You guys, get away from the buffets. Get away from the buffets, guys." Then he's shaking our hands, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm Wild Dog." He goes, "You're not a dog. Don't let nobody call you a dog. You are mine. You are mine." And then somebody said something to him, like a minute later, I'm like, "Oh, man." He was like, oh, I get it now. Like the party animal. You're the party animal.
Funny.
And I'm like, yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
This is Mutombo, man. So it's like, with everything he did on the court, man, the news and the word, the things he did off the court.
Yeah.
We have NBA carers and a lot of, humanitarians, guys come up that well, they want to do things with their wealth. It almost comes to the fact where you got so much money, you got to have somebody to help you give it away. You know what I mean? And Mutombo was the kind of boots on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? Like Tim Duncan is quiet. Tim Duncan, after his retirement, is like boots on the ground.
Yep.
With youth development and being a humanitarian, but just quiet. And Mutombo was just, I have even more admiration for him, what he did after.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, it's like I felt like he pushed the NBA to do better. He was ahead of the NBA. Instead of, he didn't wait for the NBA. This is what I'm trying to go with this. He didn't wait for the NBA. He was being true to who he was, coming from the Congo, right? And the need for people like himself to make an impact. So he was almost showing the NBA what they needed to do, where they needed to go. And then programs that came after that, I'm telling you, firsthand, as best I can tell you, because I asked questions. Mutombo was the real deal.
Yeah.
He even got the President's Service Award, which is the highest award in the country for a volunteer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Before he got recognized by the NBA. So he was a legend in this area. He was a pioneer, so to speak, when it comes to the NBA and when it comes to service. He was leading the way. He got recognition from the president before he got the Walker Award, Walker Kennedy Award from the NBA. And then the NBA is like, okay, we need to buy all in. Mutombo, what do you need? Then it was like, what do you need? What do you want? Okay, we need to do these. They still wasn't as tenacious as he was on the court. He was even more tenacious when it came to service and being involved, and not just being behind the desk, but boots on the ground, brother. Boots on the ground. Yeah. And that's what I want to lead with, is that story, believing on how he was a pioneer, even helped draw out more and kind of push and lead the NBA at the same time to where we are now. Where we're renovating basketball courts in the Eastern Bloc of Europe, places we would never go,
Absolutely.
We're reaching players like Luka, we're reaching players in Africa, we're reaching players all over the continent, and it goes into Commissioner Stern's vision of a global sport and leading basketball to being the number 3 sport in the world, So it's real talk, and he was a huge part of that, on and off the court.
Nah, Mutombo was a special person. There's so many things I could say as far as what he left as a legacy. Lamont, when you had an opportunity to watch Mutombo play, as far as his legacy, what are your thoughts on what he gave to the NBA?
Well, Wild Dog summed it up well. I can't even come after that, so I'm not gonna have anything as well said as what Wild Dog said. So salute to him. But Mr. Mutombo, he made defense look cool, man. He made defense be cool, right? And he did that when he did the whole that right there. That's something that every kid is gonna be able to do from here on.
Yeah.
Right? That's like Michael Jordan sticking his tongue out. That's just one of those things that is forever. Yeah, that's one of those things that the great sport of basketball has brought to just life. You know what I'm saying? And that's just something that we're gonna imitate, and our kids gonna imitate forever, man. Like, I mean, I know my kids. They sometimes they try to, throw something in the trash. I'm like, You know what I'm saying? But we just do. But that's gonna be forever fun, right? That's gonna be forever something, man.
It is an iconic move, though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And he just made playing defense cool, man. He did, and everything that he did off the court. Salute to him, man. Rest easy, and he's forever an icon, a legend, and he'll live forever because of that.
Yeah, the one thing I remember when he played for Denver, when they won that playoff series, he was on the ground holding that ball.
He had that ball.
Yeah.
If we're talking stories, we're talking Mutombo stories. Mine, unfortunately, is not. Mine, unfortunately, isn't the best Mutombo story. So I'm a Laker fan. I told you all that, right? So I remember when the Lakers played the 76ers in the finals. And the game 1, Mutombo was he ran Shaq up. And everybody was like, what? I know I don't flinch. I was like, nah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Man, when Mutombo went into the press and got to talking that stuff, man, Shaq, woo, and Shaq drugged that man up and down the floor the next 4 games. I was like, golly, I never seen somebody so dominated. But that unfortunately, but fortunately, is my Mutombo moment. But man, yeah, man, that was crazy. I couldn't believe he came out and got on the Shaq like that. Like, I've never seen anybody ever like that's Diesel. I have never seen that ever in life. But man, oh man. And then I think game 1 is when when Allen Iverson stepped over Ty Lue and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that. Yeah, like they were going crazy. Like
it was mad disrespect, right?
you can't do that. Like not in LA, you can't do that. He was totally disrespecting him. And we were like, okay, everybody, and I know everybody was going up in arms, they were going crazy, and then
Relax.
the greatest of all time.
The key part of your story is finals. There's nothing unfortunate about finals, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. I'm just saying, just because it had to be a situation where he took the L. But the thing is, he did his thing, man, and he got there. He got there. So salute to him. Salute. Rest easy.
Boogie Bob, man. Man, I know you got a lot of stories when it comes to Mutombo, man. What is his legacy? I know, again, he played for several teams, and I can't. Denver is his main team, but he played for the Nuggets, the Hawks, the Sixers, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Rockets. So he played for some teams, but what is his legacy, and where does his legacy lie in regards to a team?
Well, I got a lot. I'm not sure where to start. I will tell my Mutombo story. So in 2006, I flew with a person I'd met that played at the University of Texas. And he knew people, and we went to Miami to see Game 4 and 5 against the Mavericks playing. When I lost Game 5, it finished pretty late. We got some dinner, and we decided to fly home early so we can come back and see Game 6. And so we'd been up all night, and Don Nobler was there, and some other people were there. Several dignitaries were there. But while we got our ticket exchanged, we're standing in the TSA line, and not exaggerating or making this up, the person right in front of me was Dikembe Mutombo.
Man.
And when I always travel with a pillow. And he turns around with me. He says, "You'll sleep on plane?" I said, "Yes, sir." So we had a couple-minute conversation. I don't remember that. I just remember him asking me about my pillow. But I'm 6 foot, and he's another foot taller. Yeah, like you get a neck pain looking up at him.
Yeah.
So I actually, for that 20, 30 minutes it takes to get through the TSA, wait and check your bags line, I'm standing literally behind Dikembe Mutombo. Like nobody would have been able to see me if they take a picture because I'm so small and skinny that, he just he would have covered up the whole frame. But I want to tap into something that Wild Dog. I'm going to start with his off the court. And this was in the morning news, Dallas Morning News. He built a hospital in Congo, one of the biggest cities. It was the first new hospital to be built in 40 years. And he paid for it out of his own money, and he named the hospital after his mother. So he brought healthcare. He brought healthcare to one of the biggest cities in Africa, in Congo. He's been called the NBA's first global ambassador. Adam Silver called him. He said, "We didn't even have that title, but he was essentially our first global ambassador. Wherever the NBA needed him to go, he went." Like Wild Dog said, he's the he's the pioneer before he got his degree from Georgetown. He played under can't think of, let me see his name, Tompkins. He spoke, we talk about Kobe and how many languages he spoke. Mutombo spoke 9 languages.
Man.
Think about that for a minute. 9 different languages. So if you're going to have an ambassador, he was doing that before the NBA sent him. 9 different languages.
Yeah.
So he's as much known as a humanitarian in what he did, taking money back to where he grew up and building basketball courts. And I mean, it's not cheap to build a hospital. And the one thing that most people don't know is Congo didn't have a women's basketball team. He paid for the entire trip, equipment, everything for the Africa women's Olympic basketball team.
Yeah.
And of course, that brought sponsorship. So those are just some of the things he brought off the court. He reinvested where he came from, and he invested in people. And that right there, before you even talk about what a player he was, that's a legacy in itself.
Yep.
And even when the Zaire women's national team didn't have uniforms, he paid for them.
Man,
Sat on top of that. It wasn't just the Congo. If he heard word of it, he would just took action.
Man.
Did you take care of it? I just did it.
Wow.
So here's some of the stats. You know, I always bring the stats.
Mm-hmm.
He was second in Rookie of the Year voting.
Yeah.
Anybody want to guess who beat him out for Rookie of the Year?
Michael Jordan.
He was drafted a couple years after Jordan.
Yeah.
I'll just say he did some commercials with a wig and a woman's outfit on.
Larry Johnson.
Oh, Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson, Grandma won Rookie of the Year. Dikembe was second.
That's crazy. Wow.
4 times, just like Swish or Real, 4 times Dikembe Mutombo won Defensive Player of the Year. There's only 2 other players to win it 4 times: Rudy Gobert, Ben Wallace. 4 other times he finished. Yeah, that's something, isn't it? Just 3 players. 4 other times he finished in the top 3 of voting for Defensive Player of the Year. He made, as far as the All-NBA defensive team, he made the first team 3 times. He made the second team 3 times.
Yeah.
An 8-time All-Star.
Man.
5 times he led the league in block shots for a season. 5 consecutive years. He played 18 seasons. He went to the playoffs with his team 13 times. And the one that I remember you kind of hit on, the first ever number 8 seed to beat a number 1 seed. And this, I think, was still one as a 5-game series.
Yep.
They knocked out the Supersonics, the Gary Payton and Sean Kemp Supersonics.
Yeah.
And Denver was the 8th seed.
Yep.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
In Seattle.
His
Is that why they shut it down to Seattle? I'm just joking.
His career numbers: 9.8 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 1 assist a game. And this next one don't sound incredible, but when you compare what people have been able to do since, 2.8 blocks a game.
Yes.
So he finished 3 times. He finished blocks per game average. He was top, but 5 consecutive years in a row, he had the most blocks in a season.
Man.
And a couple of those were 500 block seasons. So, I mean, those numbers alone say Hall of Fame, which he was inducted. I think it was 2015, but 18 seasons. That we've had Tim Duncan, LeBron, Vince Carter, Dirk, but 7'2" centers didn't play 18 years back then. No. Robert Parrish, maybe, Kareem, but most of them had foot trouble long before they got the 18 years.
Or the knees.
Or knees. Yeah. So you like, we all do this, Yeah. So it's like Steph going night. He like, no, bring that stuff out of here. So that's quite a legacy, not only as a player, but as a humanitarian. And that speaks volumes right there.
Yep.
He was an excellent player as far as Mutombo goes. And I think what he added to the NBA made his legacy that much more. You know what I mean? Because I don't see any player besides Victor Wembanyama having a career like Mutombo did. So it's a testament to what he's added to the NBA, and a lot of people, again, his iconic finger wag is one of the most iconic thing I can remember when it comes to defense. And thank you, Coach Lamont, for bringing that up, man. It's just amazing how he just put so much into the NBA as far as defense. And I would like because me and Coach Bob coach, so our focus was always basically on defense first. Yeah, so to have a kid to even emulate something like what Mutombo did is a blessing to have on your squad. And I mean, moving to the next subject is team chemistry. Talking about team chemistry, what are the tangibles that make a great team, and what makes chemistry is something so important when it comes to team? Because there's not a lot of teams can get to the championship if they don't have good chemistry. And I want to start with you, Bob, when it comes to team chemistry. Give us some ideas of what that definition is, and how can people, as far as teams go, have good chemistry.
Well, I'll just apologize up front to Wild Dog, because my number one bullet, something he talks about a lot. And if there's no meat left on the bone, Wild Dog, then I'll go up to McDonald's and get you something. But team chemistry starts at the top, from the owner to the GM and then the coach. They set the tone.
Yeah.
And when you have a good organization, that keeps strife from building up inside the locker room. So it starts with the organization. You don't ever hear about the Miami Heat having problems with players externally. If they have problems, it's kept internally. And one of the selling points for the Mavericks has always been, they get treated better. They get welcomed by the city. They have the better hotels. Cuban was on the first to have buy a plane for that. But it starts with the owner, then the GM, and then the coach. They set the tone for not only expectations, but behavior and that. My second bullet I had is personalities that mesh. So you can have a crazy guy over here and a shy guy over here and a veteran leader over here.
Yeah.
But if they mesh together instead of like that, I mean, how many times have we heard Draymond punch somebody out and then they're gone? But personalities, everybody knows. I mean, you and I coach, personalities are going to show up. So if you got a team that has personalities that mesh well together, then you don't have to like the other person, but you got to have to play with them. So you got to be able to mesh with them. Then my next bullet was, you got to have complementary pieces for chemistry. They talk a lot now about ball dominant people, 3 and D guys, shooters. So you have to have, maybe one guy like Popeye Jones or Dennis Rodman, great rebounder, not going to add anything else, but the team can count on him to get the rebound.
Yep.
So matching skills that help the team, that individually maybe they have weaknesses, but they got that one superior skill that helps the team. So, if you got, when you had Chris Paul and James Harden and Dwight Howard, you had 3 dominant ball players. There's only one basketball. So you could have 2 ball dominant. People are finding out you can have 2 ball dominant, but when you have that third or even 4th ball dominant person, it doesn't work. So matching complementary pieces help. Then the last one that I'll hit on is matching skill sets. So if you have bigs that work well together, like the power forward and center, that's why I don't think Minnesota will do as well. Gobert and Towns have developed the chemistry. Maybe Julius Randle gives them points, but it takes a while for them to communicate when they miss assignment to know where the other person is going to be. So bigs that work well together, you don't hear much about that. You hear more about guards guards and who can play with Luka, who can play with Harden, who can play with Westbrook, who can play with Ja Morant, what kind of player do you need? But what I'm talking about is that if you go back to when Brunson played for the Mavericks, they didn't have to change their offense. When Luka sat down and Brunson came in, basically the offense ran the same way. So that's matching skills. So guards that can run the same offense where you don't have to change something, you can run the same plays. So all of those create synergy between personality, complementary pieces, and matching skill sets.
So for the audience, Boogie Bob, kind of give them an elaboration of what synergy is. I know what it means, but kind of like for the people who has my education, second grade, what would that be?
Synergy is when the whole is worth more than the individual parts put together.
Yeah.
It's a team that when they work together, it's a well-oiled machine. You see it. It generally brings championships.
And if you think of a team in the past, say 15 years, what team would you say had the best synergy? I know who I think of.
There's one that came into mind as soon as you started the question, and that's the '86 Boston Celtics.
That's more than 15 years ago, though.
It's more than 10 years ago, but that was the very first one that came to mind, and I don't like the Celtics.
So you know what came to mind for me? San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, that is more coach driven, though, I think.
But they had synergy, though.
They did have synergy.
But Pop's GM too, though. So.
Look at the difference. So I'll give you a more recent look at the 2011 Miami Heat versus 2012 Miami Heat. Same talent level, but they played more together as a team in 2012 when coaching didn't change. Still had Bolstra.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably say the Celtics last year, even though they had new piece and Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis, they just fit into the machine like plug and play.
But that's the same thing with San Antonio, though.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but I think that's more system driven by Popovich. If you don't buy into Popovich's system, you're out the door.
Yeah,
it's not going to go well.
Yeah,
Pat Riley though.
It's system driven. Yeah, the Heat is system, and to a certain extent, the Warriors are. But in the 4 years in a row that Thompson, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all those, even and Andre Iguodala, they had synergy. Even when Step Up gave the ball, they knew where he was going. But synergy to me is when the sum of everything is bigger than the individual pieces.
Yeah.
Like when you have somebody leave a team, it's like, why aren't they doing as well as they did in the other team or the other system? Yeah,
it makes the difference too. And now, I was going to say Mr. Harris, Lamont. I don't know if you coached or not, but what are your thoughts on team chemistry? And I mean, you dealing with clients that are definitely a part of the repertoire when it comes to being able to come together and make a thing work. What are your thoughts on team chemistry?
Well, two things. I have two C's. Camaraderie, first thing, right?
Facts.
You have to have fun, right? Whatever you're doing, it can't just be stressful. That's when it just gets too. It's not fun, right? When you're out there having fun, you're loose and you're enjoying what you're doing. It just comes organically. It comes naturally. I think that's I think that's amazing. I like that. I like when things like that happen. I've had a situation like that happen where I've gotten some of my clients together for like a promotion before, and man, it was magic, right? It was just magic, man. Like I never wanted to leave that moment. Like I wanted that moment to just be what it was, man. I remember it like it was yesterday, so it was awesome.
That is a good description of synergy, man. Because if you in it, in that moment is connecting everybody.
Man, it was crazy. I'll have to either talk to you all about it offline or just I'll get you guys some of the content, man. It was just you can see it. It was just like everything was clicking. I even had my daughter there. My baby was there. She was part of like the whole thing, man, and it just clicked. It was right. It was very dope. So there you just have to be able to click, and then also, man, I'm a firm believer in communication. Right, communication is over everything. Right, I'm happily married 8 years, man, and so I can tell you right now, thank you, brother. I can tell you right now, man, like communication is everything. Right, if you can't communicate, then what? You know what I mean? Then what do you have? You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to understand and be able to communicate with each other. So even like in a team situation, right? Somebody's bringing the ball up the court. You automatically kind of know. They don't have to just verbally say what they want to say, but they can just be like, "Hey, you know what that means, right?" You know what I mean? And so you just make it happen, man. So I think communication and camaraderie, man. Those are my 2 C's. That's where I'm at with it.
As far as chemistry go, yeah, I agree with that, man, because that's one of the things that we talked about, me and Bob, when we coached, because we coached against each other. But my first thing is like you have to talk to each other in community. Like communication is a basic thing. If you don't talk to each other, then how do you know what the other person is doing? And that starts in practice. And that's where chemistry is really built, in my opinion. When you practice hard and you understand players in practice, and you do a lot of scrimmages, and you see, hey, he likes to cut left real hard, and he likes to get the ball in this position, and you understanding each other, and then that flow comes together and it clicks. Oh, it's like learning math. You know what I mean? Because like
beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
We used to call it 5 guys on a string. They're so connected that when one moves, the other ones move with them. But one of the drills when I first started coaching in that league is the head coach. He is like, "Oh, you got to make 25 buckets in 3 minutes on whatever the drill was," and he would count. And I told him, I said, "Make the players count." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because in a game, even in a rec league, when there's less than 100 people in the gymnasium, like the players will hear each other, but they won't hear a coach. And my voice carries. So when I'm yelling, I mean, everybody in the gym's going to hear me. But the players don't respond near as well unless they're like 5 feet from the sideline as they will to another teammate. And so when we changed the drill that they had to make, they had to count it, and I couldn't hear it. I said, "I don't hear you." And if it's just one player counting, I made the whole team count. But
that's tight.
I learned that. It goes back to your communication. I learned that in pickup ball, because if you got burned, you're like, "Help, help, help," or you saw a guy screen, screen, screen. It just naturally in pickup ball. When I played with the brothers, it's like you learn to like, "Hey, here's what's coming." You know, like they didn't want you to get your head knocked off running into some guy twice your size. Like screen, screen, screen.
Yeah, communication, man. You have to communicate, bro. For sure.
And that's why I think D Live will get a lot more votes for Defensive Player of the Year, because he, like Tyson Chandler, communicates from the center position.
I agree with that. Wild Dog, your thoughts on team chemistry? What are your definitions? How that looks in your estimation?
Oh, Big Mike, it's almost like a lot of things are being said, kind of just, hitting on the same points, but maybe said a different way. So, but like Boogie Bob already said, you know how big I am on organizations. Like sometimes I talk about a player, where they're going or where they are, because if I just had to say the team's name, I'm just like, I can't. You know what I'm saying? And I mean the Lakers. I got old inside information, like the level of dysfunction, like I'll leave a memoir, and maybe after I'm gone, then my kids might say, "Oh, look at this," But I'm not gonna ever say, I'm alive. I'm never ever gonna go there. I'm not gonna go to another NBA game. But the organization culture. What is your culture?
Yeah.
What is the organization, the owner, the GM? What is your culture? It's an established culture, and not some marketing mantra that they plaster out there. What's your real deep roots culture? What's the motif when everybody's communicating with you, no matter what your job is, whether it's on the court, in the organization, out amongst the people. What's that core value? What's that core essence, your foundation of the culture. When I say I'm with the Dallas Mavericks, that should ring a certain bell with people. That should ring a certain, strike a certain chord with other organizations, whether it's sponsors, season ticket holders, or vendors. It should ring true, year after year, decade after decade. What culture have you been cultivating? Okay. And then with that being said, it's like, are we on the same page? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Right? Are we on the same page?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Yeah. It's like if you just here for snacks for the post-game meal, or you just here for your paycheck, or you just here until you hit free agency, I ain't got time for all that, man.
Hey, or a hot dog during the middle of the game when Nerlens Noel went to get his hungry, got him a hot dog.
I remember that.
And then that hits on my next bullet point of professionalism, right? Professionalism. And then you got stars, you got role players, you got GM, you got coaches, you got executives. Stay in your lane.
Man, right? There's no traffic in
I
your
could
lane.
be a player and I got people on my team, but this executive or this team employee, that's their job.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to step on their toes. I'm going to have my person get with them to make sure it gets taken care of 100%. You can be balling out all you want, but if you go stepping on all these people's toes throughout the whole organization, guess what's going to happen to you? As soon as you sneeze wrong, oh yeah, now we got an excuse. Get rid of him. And then that's when it's like, well, there was this, there was these instances, and if it was any other employee, we would have got we would have got rid of him a long time ago. You know what I mean? So the professionalism, and with all that and everything we've been talking about, even with the Mavericks, I'm like whispering, I love their game, dog. I love them, but they are not a fit. What do you mean? We gotta go with him. He's a bomber. They are not a fit.
Yeah.
And it ain't about being right. It's just like I'm already disappointed because we should know this. We should know that this individual, though they're a great player, they're a great baller, they are not a fit.
You're going to have a piece to a puzzle, but it's the wrong puzzle.
Makes sense.
Perfectly shaped, strong, but in the wrong place, homie. You in the wrong box, man. We're going to send you, at least Coach Popovich, if he don't like you, he tried to give you a soft landing. He tried to send you somewhere where you can have the opportunity for success. Popovich is that good, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey.
I agree with you, man, because it starts from the top. You have to set the culture. And once the culture is set, those who don't buy in definitely need to figure out where they need their next stop is. Because just like when 2011, when Dallas won it all, they had a culture. They had the guard, they had the coach, they had the center in Tyson Chandler, they had Dirk Nowitzki, they had, I'm sorry, I don't mean to ramble on about the Mavs, Lamonte, but we had all of those things in place. And it was a team, They didn't play individual street ball. And I mean, like when we faced against Miami, it was like individual players versus a team. So who's going to win it?
Yep, the camaraderie, man. They were already there. They were here.
Well, and a good example of that, not to pick on your Lakers, Lamont, but they were 2-time defending state NBA champions. And when the Mavericks put the Mother's Day massacre on them,
oh, that was horrible.
Players were clotheslining, and they're like, I don't want to be a part of this. Committing fouls that they knew would get them thrown out of the game. Was like, y'all have it. This game's done. The series is over. That chemistry completely fell apart.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, Boogie, what happened to him? That's not Lakers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he got shipped around everywhere.
Yeah, look what happened to him after that.
Bring that back to that game, Lamont. What was your thoughts on that? This is totally off the subject, but I always wanted to ask a Laker fan, how do they feel when the Mavs swept them, especially they got blown out the last game of that series. What were your thoughts? No shade though.
No. It's fine. I live in Dallas, and so people have been bringing it up to me for years now. Y'all, they hang that one over my head forever. So,
flag fly forever.
They'll hang that one. I'll just tell them 17. But hey, either way, so that one that you guys got, yeah, man, it hurt. It hurt honestly because we thought Kobe was going for 3, right? We that's where we were going. We're like, okay, Kobe's going for this. Okay, this is gonna be it, and then we didn't see it going that way. So
what happened was that first game. Y'all shouldn't have gave us that first game. It was a wrap after that.
Nah, you know what? We're learning NBA playoffs. Game 1, whoever wins game 1, they pretty much have that momentum. You crack game 1, it's very rare, right? Am I correct, fellas? It's very rare. You come back after that. Game 1, it's kind of like,
But don't worry about it, Lamont. I mean, because Donnie Nelson had it planned. We had a couple of couple of weapons, literally Laker killers.
Yeah,
it came out later, but Donnie getting Peja Stojakovic to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right? It's like he was hired for one, just for the playoffs, and specifically to get us. If we run into the Lakers, we run into this other team for that purpose.
Yeah, because then we set a record for 3-point shots that game.
Yes,
I remember.
And then JJ Barea like spent most of his time. He came back, but it's like doing garbage time. I mean, he come in, but mostly garbage time or certain matchups. But the key matchup going to playoffs is like they prepared. He had all the time. He had all the time leading up to the Lakers series to prepare for the Lakers. That's what I'm telling you.
It's all good.
That's why I know facts.
So we got that player on this year's team. We got that player, that stone cold shooter killer on this year's team.
Thompson.
Klay Thompson is going to be our Peja Stojakovic, but more closer to his prime.
Yeah.
No comment.
Hey, so hired mercenaries. We in Dallas, we will hire mercenaries.
No comment.
All right, so our last segment of the day, and this is going to be totally on Lamont, man. Again, we appreciate you coming on. And I've always had questions about NIL. What is it, and what impact has it had on sports? And since you're in the business regarding NIL and sports agencies, first of all, give the people the definition of what NIL stands for, and then kind of give us the details of an NIL contract.
Got you. So what NIL is name, image, and likeness, right? So whenever we were buying Jordans forever, we've been buying Jordans forever, right? And so we always bought Jordans because we thought we saw Michael Jordan in the cool commercials. He had the shoes on, and we were like, dang, those shoes will make us play like Michael Jordan, right? So that's his image and his likeness. And we went and bought these shoes because of his image and his likeness, right? For years, players that were not playing professional collegiate players, they couldn't get paid off of this, right? The schools were making so much money off of these players. Have you all seen the Johnny Manziel documentary that's on Netflix?
I haven't yet.
Insane. Hey, Mike, please watch this, bro.
I'm gonna have to.
Because, bro, when you see how much he was doing, how much revenue he was bringing in, his jersey sales, everything, he built a whole new stadium, bro.
Off his name.
He saw nothing. He was having to sneak to sign autographs, to get a little money here. You know what I'm saying? So these guys, I mean, think about it, man. These guys.
And when they sold jerseys, when the team sold jerseys, it couldn't have a name on the back of it.
Exactly. Exactly. You couldn't have your name on the back of your own jersey, right? These are the type of things that were happening before. Now it started to transition into, okay, well, people started speaking up, and the NCAA is like, you know what? Here, get paid. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, get paid. Then nobody they didn't put any structure to it. So then it just started going crazy. So so then, it started getting into, at first it started being a thing where it was like, okay, cool. You can get endorsement deals. So players were picking up endorsement deals. And then it started turning into, okay, well, let's start counting up. These guys are making a lot of money. Let's kind of start putting it to where the school has control of things. Then the schools started to have control of things. So they started building organizations together where the schools are now paying the students and things like that. And so this is forever changing, and this is going to forever change until it's just totally structured and everybody has it set in one way, because it's gone from one thing to a whole nother really fast. And yeah, man, everybody always use the term wild, wild west. I'm not going to use that. It's just crazy.
So let me ask you this question then, because I think this started with the lawsuit that the Flying O'Bannons had back in the days.
Yep.
Is that something that kind of brings back the whole encircled reasoning for the NIL?
Yes, exactly. So because this person was, and it's this lawsuit should have came a long time ago, but you had this one person, hey, step up and be like, hey, I should have been getting paid. I should have been compensated for all these things. Like, just like similar now, like in North Carolina, they have a top quarterback, and this top quarterback, he wasn't getting paid the name, image, and likeness. He couldn't get paid in high school, right there. Now he sued. He went and sued the state. Now the whole rules have overturned. Now in North Carolina, you can get paid for this because of this one quarterback, right? There's always that one person that changes everything, that steps up and that changes it all and changes the whole landscape of whether it be a sport or it may be a law or whatever it is.
So let me ask you this question also, NIL. As far as a grade level, how young can you receive NIL money?
So it depends on what state you're in. This is a state by state type situation. So I mean, as young, I mean, there's really in the state of California, if you're getting Pop Warner money, you're doing your thing at Pop Warner, man, and somebody wants to pay you, yeah, there you go. Right?
There was a girl that I think she was 12 years old, soccer player.
Yep.
That signed a contract and got that.
Man. I mean,
Texas, you can't. That's one of the disadvantages in Texas. If you're a public school, you cannot get NIL money in high school. And it's the biggest reason. It's the biggest reason Quinn Ewers declared himself early and actually went to Ohio State in January so he could get NIL money. It's $1 million. He never played. He didn't even play in their spring practice.
Yep. And went right to Texas. So there's things like that, like in the state of Texas, where there's going to be, it's coming down the pipeline. Like in Texas, it's going to happen. We have too much talent here in the state of Texas for it to not happen, right? And so players are about to start moving. Players are about.
They already, like in basketball, you're already seeing it. They go on to Link Academy or AMG or Sierra Canyon or Mount Verde.
They're gone, right? They're gone because here you can't get paid in high school. You have to wait until you're in college to be in order to get paid, right? But you never know. The thing is, you don't know how long you're going to have that opportunity. You don't know how long you're going to be able to be that healthy, to take that advantage. Some of these kids are coming from nothing. They have absolutely nothing, right? And so they want to take care of the opportunity right now because there's no telling what's going to happen. It's like a funnel, right? When you're at the top, when you're in the wide part of the funnel and you're in high school and you're balling on everybody and everybody is just like, you're the man. Then the funnel goes down a little bit and you go to college, right? And you got to understand that you are playing amongst everybody that was the top tier in high school.
Mm.
So when you go to college, it's like you're still playing at that high level, you're still playing that top tier, but you're playing against your competition has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Then it funnels down a little bit more when you get to professionals. And when you get to your professionals, you are the 1% out of everybody that was in high school, everybody that was in college. Boom, this is the top of the top of the top. That's why we see people like, I hate to pick on Johnny Manziel again, but that's why we see people like him. Like, he was amazing in college. He was amazing in high school. Unreal. Nobody could touch him. He got to the league, looked nothing like that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen quarterbacks that were just like quarterback elite. They were winning going to all kind of camps, high school, college. They get to the pros, third string.
So let me ask you this question.
I have a question for him, Mike.
Yeah, sure.
Can you articulate about this quarterback for the UNLV that sued UNLV? He went there simply for NIL money, and can you articulate what you know or your perspective?
Well, in that situation, I actually salute that man for knowing his worth. Right? Whenever you go visit somebody somewhere and somebody promises you something. So like Mike, if Mike said, "Hey, Lamont, come on the show," man, I'll give you I'll give you 100,000. Come on, right? And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I get here, and I'm looking at my direct deposit, and I ain't seen nothing yet. I'm getting out. I'm logging out. Right? It's just what it is. So that's exactly what happened here. This man, you can go to a college, right? And you within those first like 4 games, you can try it out. And then if you want to redshirt, so there's people like, I have a client right now. He's a true freshman, right? He's a backup quarterback, right? In order for him to get his full eligibility, he can redshirt right now. So he can redshirt still and still have all his full eligibility instead of sitting behind another quarterback and then wasting the year of his eligibility, right? And that's what this man did. Somebody promised him some money, and so he took advantage of that. He found that loophole. He's a smart businessman. He found that loophole, and so he was like, okay, you know what? I could get out of here. I don't have to just play here and maybe potentially get hurt and then wait till the end of the year and get in the transfer portal. No, we're still at the beginning of the season. They haven't paid me anything. Let's redshirt and let's go ahead and keep the rest of my eligibility, right? So this year didn't even count. It's like Men in Black.
Let me ask you this question too. This is for the audience though, and my second grade knowledge, and our audience member who has second grade knowledge as well. Yeah. Give them the definition of what red shirt is.
So red shirt means that you're still on the team, right? You're just developing. Basically, at that point, you're still going to school, you're still on scholarship, but at that point, you're just not participating. You're not participating with the team. You're not practicing with the team. You're not participating in the games. You are sitting out this year. You're sitting out that year, but you're still on full scholarship.
Okay, here's my second question too, and this is for the second graders that I am. If I'm a high school student coming to you as a client, and I want NIL money, depending on my talent, if I'm top tier talent, what are some of the things that you would tell me as your client that I need to be aware of, and how would you sign me?
Yeah, well, first thing, we're going to look at your social media, because right then, that's where everything is going to begin. Everything's going to begin with your social media you're following. Also, we're going to talk about content, right? Are you a content creator? Those are the type of things that lead into dollar signs, right? Those type of things, that's where you're going to have to go with that. Unless you go to a school where the school is going to just pay you, then that's fine, right? And people do get that. Like, I know a lot of these football players, they go to these high college, these big colleges, right? And the school pays them, right? They don't too much have to go on the NIL grind where they have to utilize their name, image, and likeness much. The school is taking care of it. But a lot of players that are not those top tier 5-star football players, right? They have to get out there and they'll make deals. They'll get endorsement deals. They'll go get an agent, like myself, right? To go be able to go get them some endorsement deals with different brands. And then what the way that those kind of deals will work we'll talk about deliverables with the brand. So the brand would say, hey, well, I want you to do this many posts online so we can use your audience, right? You can use your followers, and we do this many posts online and we'll pay you this much amount of money. Cool. Let's do it. And go ahead.
Hey, Mike, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Lamont. So let me put it to you this way. I have a spiritual nephew who's been a model since he was a baby. So he's still doing photo shoots and doing advertisements and commercials ongoing. He started his career as a baby and it's ongoing, right? Mm-hmm. Then I have a spiritual niece who's in theater and actress. She's been on stage and on film since she was 3. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about talented individuals.
Yeah.
Talented individuals. Why is sports so different? And then in the future, I see it being a wash, that it won't be treated any differently. Mm. Like Billy Bob hinted, he knew a 12-year-old, I believe he said, female athlete that was on and popping and going, and her parents were taking care of her. I feel like, what do you like for now? For now, why is sports talent seem dealt differently than other talented individuals? And then what do you see in the future as far as sports agents? Will there be any limitations?
I think that's where it starts. I think it all started with sports, right? Then it turns into content creators and turns into influencers. It's turned into so many other things. I've seen kids stop playing sports because all they want to do is create content online. So yes, you're absolutely right? But that person or that young lady or man would have to have a following online, right? Have to have a crowd in order to feed into them for people to actually want them, right? They have to have 100,000 followers on TikTok or whatever the case may be, because these brands are going to look at their numbers and say, well, what am I going to get out of it? What is the ROI, right? That's what business is, ROI. What is the return on investment? And that's all they really want to know, is where the return is. And so if they see that somebody has maybe 500 followers or 1,000 followers, they need somebody else besides your grandparents and your cousins to go buy their product, right? They need you to be, oh, this person that has 400,000 followers. Oh, this person, when they post something, a lot of people are going to see this. This is the person that I want in front of my brand. So
isn't it true that you can still have a lot of viewership, but it may not be, you can't monetize it?
Yes, depending on you can. It's just that's just really just on you if you can monetize it or not. Some people don't.
Like food critics get, you get a lot of people follow food critics and what diners, dives, and drive-throughs or whatever. Yep. They got that. There may be somebody else's food critic that has a lot of followers, but they don't have that same stamp, or like Michelin, whatever, with the food. There's certain there's certain things in addition to their following. They actually have a brand, not just an influencer. They have a brand, and so when someone says, "Oh, so and so barbecue is not so good," that place may go out of business because that person didn't like what they got.
Yeah. And they can't. That's where you have the right people representing you. That's why you have the right people and that are on your team. Those are the people that are going to help you do those things. So that's why I have the job that I have, right? Where I step in, and athlete doesn't have to handle that. I'll go handle that for you, right? You don't worry about that. Worry about your grades, right? Worry about what you're doing on the field or on the court or whatever. I got it, right? We're going to keep this going. And then we're going to keep this structured under a certain space to where you can handle this and handle your priorities as well.
So have you had a client that? Let me ask you a question real quick.
I don't know if she's seen this clip. I just want to know if you had any. So there's a trailer out for Venom, The Last Dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it has Dak Prescott in it. You have to go look at it. Just Google Dak Prescott and Venom. I knew Wild Dog would get a kick out of it because his son's a big Marvel fan. But I mean, you're talking about Johnny Manziel. Baker Mayfield, when he was in Cleveland, you saw him cleaning the stadium and a whole bunch of stuff. And Baker, you don't see him anywhere anymore.
Yeah, because that's his representation, understanding where his brand is going. Right at first, yes, there's like boom, put him on everything. He came to Cleveland. He's the savior of Cleveland, so they put him in every commercial. Blah 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 blah. But how did he play on the field? How did he do? Right now, he was in every single commercial, but he was in no playoff games. He was in nobody's Super Bowl and nobody's nothing, right? Now he's that guy, and where do you see him at? He doesn't have to be in every single commercial. He had to calm down. He had to turn it down, and they're gonna ramp it back up. It'll ramp back up, but is that time? Is that a media control? It has to have media control. Sometimes you have to turn that down. And then eventually you'll turn it back up. Watch, you'll start seeing it. It'll start coming. He's not as loud. He's not as rambunctious as he was. He's not as cocky as he was. He's humble. He's winning. And they keep going on that trajectory. You'll start seeing him everywhere.
So dealing with these, do you ever come across where there's overexposure, when there's too much of a thing and then it cheapens the brand or cheapens their name, image, or likeness?
I haven't.
That's what I was going to add to that question too, and I was trying to get that over. Have you ever had like clients that had an abundance of, for as social media presence, that you had to kind of wane them off of certain things, and that just kind of adds to Bob's question?
No, I haven't yet. Actually, every athlete that I've ever had that has a great following, we're able to utilize that following in full strength. Like there's nothing that we're having to just weigh them off. Now, there are deals that make no sense that don't fit with their brand, you can't really match this with that. It doesn't really mix very well. I stay away from those. I like to be able to, I don't just slap my players with anything. It just has to fit their brand. I just, we run it past them, make sure that they like the quality of the product first, and then we'll talk about it from there. But I can't just slap them with anything. It has to make sense.
And then on that point, Big Mike, it's like when you asked that question, the first thought that came to my mind was the kicker, De La Haye. He goes by D-Stroing, right? Just having fun with teammates, with other football players he knew, right? And he would, he's a kicker, so he got, I guess, plenty of free time. But anyway, he's recording it, putting it up on social media, and this stuff started going viral. Not one, not two, but like almost every other clip he put out was going viral, right? And then he go, I can monetize this?
Yep.
Right? And then he turned the monies monetized on here, and he's making all this money.
Yep.
And it was before the changes. And the NCAA said, look, you're an amateur athlete. You can't make money off of being an amateur athlete. You're a football player, and you're filming football players, and you're making money off of football. It's either play football, college, or your social media. This is how cocky the NCAA was at one point. And he looked, he goes, well, man, I don't want to. But then he chose the money.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
He's making money as a professional athlete, just not necessarily on the field as a pro.
Yep.
Even in college, he was already making beyond NFL money through social media and podcasting and so forth. So
But just look at Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect has done trick shots into making it. They got a whole big building in Frisco.
Yeah, that's tight. Yep.
Yep.
So I have one last question for you, Lamont. When it comes to branding, if I'm a client of yours, I'm coming to you, what will be the parameter when it comes to choosing what type of brand? Like, say, for instance, if you have Nike under as one of your branders, what will be the parameters I would have to have as far as an athlete to even get a brand deal?
Man, I mean, you have to have first off, it just depends. It just depends on your following. It just depends on, I mean, it doesn't even, in some of these cases, it really doesn't even matter how good of an athlete you are. You can really be second string. But if you have that following online, or if you are a content creator, that's it. That's all you're going to really need right there. And then also I'll also dealt with situations where I can leverage the people that I've worked with in the past, right? Like I've worked with this and this and this brand. And so I was like, okay, well, I have a similar brand over here that I know would want to work with you. And I've talked to them, hey, well, we worked with this person, and this person. They're like, oh yeah, let's bring them in, right? Let's go in and bring them in. Because if that person over there says you can do it, they're cool. I know you're gonna do great for us. So you can. It's just it's a bunch of different ways, right? You can leverage what you've done in the past, and then you can also leverage, your following.
Man, that's amazing. Tonight's been. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
It's kind of what I hear you saying. If you, regardless of what your talent or gift is, you just need to start leveraging it immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%.
We talked about Jaylen Brown, and now he's getting his signature shoe, and how I felt like, oh, that's you late. I mean, when they went to the finals and lost, I mean, that was your window. I mean, you should have already picked him up then and did the deal, So even when you at the pro level, you can't leave it into other people's hands. Yeah. You almost have to, be more engaged and involved in what's going on, with your brand and with your opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Get it.
Absolutely.
Bob, to close out, is there anything else you can add to the NIL conversation?
Well, the one thing I was going to mention, we mentioned it's state. Texas doesn't have it. Lamont, do you think it's running high school sports and college sports with the transfer portal and all that, and the kids chasing money instead of education?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the American dream, man. You have to leverage. You have to take advantage of the opportunities that you have. Right. I don't think it's ruining anything. I think there does need to be some kind of structure and some kind of parameters to it, where you can't just oh, I don't like this school and then just go to another school. Right. Okay, cool. You can only do that a certain number of times. I know things like that should be put in place. I understand that. But as of the way things are going right now, man, let these kids take full advantage of their opportunity. God bless them and their parents. And I'm glad that they're taking advantage of that, man. I'm glad, man. I'm very happy for these kids to be able to do that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on, explaining the NIL for us, man. It was something I really wanted to ask questions about, and I got my questions off. You answered them. Yes, so we're going to close out, man. Again, Lamont, appreciate you. Wild Dog, let the audience know where they can find you on your social media handles and give them the information they can check you out online.
Oh, as best I can be available, you can find me here on Swish for Real on YouTube, and then I also do commentary and, on college football, other sports. I played everything. I'm in everything. So you can check me out at Wild Dog 357, Wild DOWG 357 on YouTube, and just, come at me or get with me. It's all good, baby.
Boogie Bob, man, give the audience your social media handles where they can catch you online.
Well, they can always catch me right here at Swish for Real. And you can catch me on Boogie Bob. So in that upper right-hand corner, right up there, that's Swish for Real. Subscribe.
That way. And we're going to close out with my guy, Lamonte Harris. Again, brother, thank you so much for coming on. I've learned a lot again. NIL is a subject I wanted to tackle. We tackled this today. We're going to have you on again if you allow us to hit you up and get you on. Give the people your information, social media handles, website, anything they need to find out about you. That way they can contact you directly.
Yeah, I'm everywhere, man. I could be right my name right here, Lamonte Harris, Prominent Sports Consultants. That is my sports marketing firm. It's Prominent Sports Consultants. That is my Instagram handle. You can, just like how it's spelled, just like it's down there. You can contact me there. You can find me on LinkedIn, Lamonte Harris. You see how my name is spelled, all right there. Man, anywhere, Lamonte Harris. And then also, if you have any inquiries and you want to reach out to me about any questions, you can email me at info@PSC Prominent Sports Consultants NIL.com. Salute.
Absolutely. Again, fellas, it's been an amazing show. I'm going to give you your weekend to you, man. I know we kind of overextended ourselves time-wise. It was been a great show, guys. Swish for Real. We are out, man. Guys, have a great one, man.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you all, man. Y'all have a great one.
Yes, sir.
Already.